Welcome back to For the Record. I'm Shawn Murphy. I am here today with author Anessa Haney. She's the author of the book Death Interrupted by Love, and also a local advocate, and she works with the Dream Foundation, which we will get into. As we went to break, here's where I guess the tough part of the interview comes when we talk about your husband. We already knew that medically things weren't well, and it just got worse from there, right? Talk about that a little bit.
Yes, in 2002, Eddie was diagnosed with a brainstem tumor. It wasn't considered cancer because it was considered actual just brain matter that grew in a bad location, which was on his brainstem. It didn't become malignant until it became an aggressive growth. And he was diagnosed in 2002, like I said, and he passed away in 2007. So he dealt with double vision and balance issues for about 5 years.
Okay. And so you were dealing with that. You were also involved with the community still, just to kind of give yourself and your life focused. You also had a family, obviously. But how did the book come along?
The book came after he died.
Okay.
When he was on his deathbed, I told him, I didn't know it was his deathbed at the time. I thought he was going to live, and I thought it was going to be an actual good story.
So this book was going to come out regardless?
Yes.
Okay.
I decided, and I told him, I said, Eddie, I don't know if I'm going to write a book about you or me first, because I was going to write a book about 9/11 and
right.
how it changed my life. And he came first, obviously, because
right.
he takes priority.
Right, and that took total, the theme of the book totally changed at that point.
That's right.
After his passing. So tell us a little bit about the book. It's called Death Interrupted by Love.
That's right. The title is because it sounds like he lived, because it sounds like it's interrupted, right? But actually he went on his last wish trip. The Dream Foundation, they answer dying wishes for people with terminal illness. Sort of like Make-A-Wish, and this just happens to be another one, and they don't necessarily compete with each other, but it's another organization to be able to grant wishes, right? The reason they don't compete is because Make-A-Wish is for children,
okay.
and the Dream Foundation is for adults.
Okay.
So, so he was in the last stage of his chemotherapy. I call it last stage because we knew that he was dying.
Right.
And I went for a walk one day when he was getting chemotherapy. I used one of the computers at the hospital, and I came across the Dream Foundation by accident, read up on it, and they said, we answer dying wishes. So I told Eddie about it, and I asked if he would like to make a wish, and he asked that he be sent to Disney for our daughter, Serena's sake.
Right.
So he could give her something, because Serena was very much a caregiver. At 6 years old, she was taking care of her father, helping me,
right,
like a hospice worker.
You would think, Disney is something that kids ask for, but in this case, the dad asked for it for his kid.
That's right.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, you basically ask for a wish for somebody else, for his child, right? Okay, continue.
So we went to Disney. We drove down there. The Dream Foundation, they came to our house before we left. They gave us tickets. They gave us money to enjoy ourselves down there, and they gave us love and hope. The Dream Foundation is a beautiful, beautiful organization. At the time, we were when you have a malignancy like cancer, other malignancies follow, meaning people. There was
really?
a lot of negativity that surrounded us.
So there wasn't the support that you would have expected? Kind of a comfort zone?
We didn't get that support. In my mind, we didn't have the support that we needed. And going to Disney or Florida was actually a way to get away from.
Now, when you say you didn't get support, you're talking about from family or friends or neighbors?
Just talking about all those,
all in the
to some degree.
All of the above.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
But I feel it's because of this main reason. People just don't know how to react to somebody who's sick.
Very true.
And my husband was handsome. He had a brain tumor, which was inside his head, so people couldn't see the illness sometimes.
So they wouldn't, might
the
not have
empathy
known
wasn't
that anything
there.
was wrong. Yeah, okay.
It's hard to have empathy, which
right.
I understand why now. Okay, I've forgiven everybody. I'm not bitter, I'm not angry, because I understand. But we went to Florida, and Eddie was starting to feel sick. He wasn't sick per se before. He just had some balance issues, and he wasn't. Anyway, he wasn't feeling well, and he told me to go to Disney. He said, "Take our daughter. Go now. You better take her because this is for her." So we left for 3 hours. I wanted to do everything in 3 hours,
right,
which was not likely.
At Disney, no.
Correct. And so we came back 3 hours later, and he had had a stroke in the hotel.
This is while you're at Disney.
Right.
Wow.
and he stroked. My daughter and I came home, and we were mentally prepared to actually find him that way. Intuition settled in. So I had a feeling before I got home or to the hotel. And then that's where the whole story begins, with the interruption, because in essence he would have been dead that day. Had we not come at that moment, he probably would have died. So he was brought to the hospital in Florida, and he spent 18 days there. And it's within that 18 days that the story tells of some things that occurred in the hospital, which I call the suffering. And the story is graphic, and it's an emotional story, and it's a true story. And it tells of why. I wrote it because there were procedures that were done to my husband in the hospital that were inappropriate, that nobody should ever have to go through. This is a book of advocacy, teaching people to be there for your loved one, make sure you're watching over them when they're in a hospital setting. And this is also to enlighten and educate nurse staff at that particular hospital, to let them know where they so terribly went wrong with my husband's care. And in lieu of a lawsuit, in this case, I wrote a book.
Okay.
And the first person to actually purchase the book was the actual attorney for that hospital.
Wow.
And I've heard nothing back on that.
So that's very interesting. So he bought the book, read it. The fact that you didn't hear anything, that's almost a justification for you to, in your mind saying, I was right. And I think he knows I'm right, because maybe he would have said something if he vehemently disagreed. But the fact that he didn't say anything,
right.
Silence says 1,000 words sometimes.
Well, how I went about it was, when I was in the hospital, certain things occurred, and I complained. And they had corresponded with me after his passing, like from risk management. Well, we're sorry that you had to go through this. We hope you can move on, and we're sorry for your loss. I just wasn't feeling it. I didn't feel that the issue was really addressed the way that I needed to be addressed. And so I called the lawyer, actually, and I said, I'm writing a book, and your hospital's in the middle of this story. If you have a problem with it, let me know. So I wanted to know the reaction ahead of time before I even wrote it. And of course the letter came with, you can't slander, you can't say this, you can't do that, automatically telling me what to do, which I understand that that's natural, but none of it's slanderous because it's truth. So I just changed the name of the hospital.
Okay, so it was more of a fictitious hospital, but what the real hospital was.
The name is very close to the real one.
On purpose, right?
Right.
Wow. It's interesting. Now, the Dream Foundation, I just want to get back to that just for a second. Obviously, you are an advocate for it. Your experience with them was fantastic, right?
That's right.
And you would certainly recommend people at least learn about it should they ever require their services. Do you know what their website is off the top of your head?
It's thedreamfoundation.org.
Okay. All right, so we'll put a graphic up for that, and certainly ask people to go to the website and learn about it. And, in a way, you kind of don't. Hopefully they won't have to utilize their services, but if you do, it's a great foundation, great organization.
People can donate to them as well.
Right.
Because I can tell you, his wish was answered within 14 days as promised.
Wow. And the unfortunate thing, it sounds like, because it happened while you were down there, his wish was for his daughter to go to Disney, and unfortunately you couldn't enjoy your time down there, at least after a while.
Well, it's funny you say that. It's good you say that, because actually where he had the stroke, in the hotel we were at, the resort hotel, the staff was amazing. They were kind, and I had to stay there longer because I was stuck for 18 days, and they reduced the price for me at the hotel. And I actually was going to write about them in my book, and I did, but I changed the name, and I told them, I said, I wrote a book, and I mentioned you, and I want to give you praise. And they said, please don't mention us. But instead, they gave us a free trip. Okay. So I got to take my daughter back there.
Oh, okay.
We stayed at the same hotel. We went to see the hospital. So we faced our demons head on.
Right.
We kind of went backwards in time so we could move forward.
Before we run out of time, I want to give you the opportunity for a couple of different things. Talk about some awards that you've received. I don't know, are these recent, or is this going back a little ways? Or?
Well, the first one I received was from the General Assembly in 2002.
All right.
That was for the Batty Street work.
Okay.
And then I won the Green Circle Award from the Department of Environmental Protection.
Oh, very nice.
In 2007. And that was for the works in Putnam with our youth.
All right.
All youth. And then very recently, in June, I won Activist of the Month from Connecticut Now, National Organization for Women.
Very nice.
Yes.
Wow.
These women support women.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for these awards.
And, okay, so congratulations on those, by the way.
Thanks.
I know you have them here with you. if people are interested in the book, Death Interrupted by Love, how can they get a hold of you or get a hold of the book?
Well, very recently, I've had 6 book signings already. This was published in December. And this is another thing I want to encourage people who feel that they can't write a book, or they want to write a book, but they don't know what to do. You can become a self-published person.
Very nice.
I paid what I paid for this. I edited this myself. I designed it, and I was able to produce a product all on my own without somebody else scrutinizing my work. This is the true American way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay?
Yeah.
So every edit, every misprint's mine, wholeheartedly.
Are there misprints in here?
Oh, there's a couple.
So how can they get a hold of you if they're interested in this book?
Well, they can, I have I'm actually on Facebook too.
Okay.
And it's Death Interrupted by Love.
Okay.
Or Anessa Haney.
Okay.
Or
So
they can call me.
Okay, go ahead. You want to give a number out? Or?
It's 860-556-9017. And recently, actually last Saturday, I was at the Crystal Mall, had a book signing at Borders, and we sold out.
Is Borders, did they carry the book there too?
You can order it there.
Okay.
Actually, when I go there, I call them in advance. And this is, I want people to understand, it's this simple. I published this book, and I called Borders and said, I'm an author, and I would like to have a book signing. So they purchased 10, 15, 20 copies of my book, and I show up.
Wow, that's very nice.
It's more simple than people realize.
And they probably don't have many authors. Big, places like Borders might not have that many authors that come by. So when an author has a book available, I'm sure they would want to take advantage of it too. So, yep, you can either look for Anessa Haney, and we'll put the graphic up for that too, or Death Interrupted by Love. Both of them you can find on Facebook, so you can learn more about the book there as well. As we wind down and wrap things up, anything else that you'd like to say? Any words of encouragement? Because, like you said just now about the book, people don't realize how easy it is to self-publish a book, or maybe talk more about getting involved civically in your local community, because that's what you're all about.
Absolutely.
What's going on for you, and what's in the future for you now?
Well, right now I'm working on my book, making some sales and getting the word out there. But I also have rabbits. I raise rabbits. They're my pride and joy, besides my daughter, of course. She's my real pride and joy. But my bunnies, they make me very happy. And I would like to start an animal therapy business of some sort and extend my rabbits. Recently, I actually have been in the media about my rabbits. If somebody gets my rabbit, like a child with a parent who's sick, for example, some people say, well, you don't want to give a child a bunny with a sick parent. But unfortunately, some parents pass away, and you need something for that child to fill the void. And so recently, I've been encouraging people about my rabbits to actually take time to learn about them for therapy. And I raised some money for the Dream Foundation because my bunnies are called the Dream Bunnies. Oh,
very nice. So there's a good tie-in there. So learn more about the Dream Foundation. Just go online, learn about that. Death Interrupted by Love, that's Anessa Haney's book. Get that too if you can. Pleasure having you on the show today.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for joining us for another edition of For the Record. I'm Shawn Murphy. We will see you next time. Take care.
The Surgeon General issued this warning because smoking causes lung cancer. The Surgeon General issued this warning because radon can cause lung cancer. Radon is an invisible radioactive gas that seeps inside your home from underground. Protect your family. Have your home tested. Call 1-800-SOS-RADON. Radon problems can be fixed.